Hello and welcome to the, what's the date? I can't remember. July 8th Rotary meeting, my first full meeting of my, we'll call it rule, my rule. The sheriff. I'd like to thank our greeters. I think it was Alex Zahara today, Dave Dunce for greeting, Eric Marcus for being our ticket master, and I'll just go ahead. I know he sent out an email, so on behalf of Eric, please pay your bills. I paid mine on accident 3 times today, so I am good until the spring. That's just how I do as president. Thank you to Mike Zwick, Pete Belson, and Mark Weinstein for the guest speakers and programs, and Jim Gundel for our website and YouTube. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Denny Jardy.
Good afternoon. Would you please join me in prayer? Oh, Holy Creator, we pray for the bifocals of faith so that we can see the concern of the moment and render right under our noses. But you see further on your purpose in working with your plan in this world you have made. We pray for the ability to see at close range our part to do a group of what we solution partner with in Rotary in the giving of time and effort, money, and we also pray for the ability to see clearly in the distance of those who in partnership with us. May we look to the new vision through these bifocals of faith and then act. Amen.
Okay, Secretary's report with Dave Kuzak and Joe Jenkins.
Okay, so with a relatively newer member taking over as secretary in the coming weeks, if you'd be cautious and let Joe know who you are, we'd appreciate that. Alex Zahara has a guest.
Thank you, Mr. Harris, sit down. I got my guest, one of my favorite people in the world, my mom.
Eric Marcus has a couple of guests.
I have 2 guests. I have the illustrious Steve Yutz from someplace in Michigan. It's like out in the township somewhere, but he is the responsible officer for OE, which is the youth exchange organization that sends out all of our students and brings our students in. And he's here to go to the, we have orientation for outcomes. And then also with me, I have Terrence McNaughton. Terrence is from Chatham, Ontario, Canada. Do not say, it doesn't say A.
Welcome.
And I was mentioned that when he's introduced our guest speaker is a fellow Rotarian from Fairborn. Our attendance is just under 58%, including Don Adams, who's on the.
Teresa's your other half a guest.
I do have a guest, my husband JR.
JR.
Sorry, JR.
Yeah, I was not trying to throw you under the bus. Sorry. No. Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Representative Brian Lambton. All right.
All righty, good day, everyone. So our weather forecast for today, rain. Tonight it'll be dark. I know, it's good weather, isn't it? Tomorrow, high 80, cloudy. Sunday, sunny, high 82. There's an article. The restaurant industry suffered obviously from the pandemic. According to the National Restaurant Association, there are several major chains that are in danger of closing permanently. Applebee's, Ruby Tuesdays. Some of you guys will be upset. Hooters, Papa John's, Golden Corral, Steak and Shake, TGI Fridays, Friendly's, B-Dubs, Taco Bell, that's going to break a few hearts, Subway, Chipotle, Burger King, Pizza Hut, and this one broke my heart, Hard Rock Cafe. I saw this story. It was Aurora, Colorado, recently lifted a 65-year-old ban on ice cream trucks. A Apparently, in 1957, the city council deemed them to be a nuisance and a safety hazard for kids. Councilman Zvonik was a member of the committee. So they formed this committee to examine outdated laws, and they came across this one and said, what the heck? And apparently the current council was like, really? It's banned? So apparently at the next meeting, it was reversed. So they now have ice cream trucks permitted in Aurora. Yes, Rome, Italy. Marie Mion wiped away her tears as she was presented a cake in a ceremony in Vicenza, which is northwest of Venice. The event marked the anniversary of the 88th Infantry Division as it fought its way into the city back in 1945. The lady was almost celebrating her 90th birthday, and at the time, during World War II, she had baked a cake and fed United States Army soldiers. So the Army, along with the Italian Army, presented her, this 90-year-old lady, with a cake to kind of replace the one that the soldiers ate back in 45. That was really cool. In sporting news, you probably already heard that the Cleveland Browns traded Baker Mayfield to the Panthers. Some of the NCAA teams most likely to repeat as conference champions, of course, the SEC be Alabama, Pac-10 or Pac-12 Utah, Big 12 Baylor, American Conference the Bearcats, and Northern Illinois in the MAC. Notice Michigan was not mentioned to repeat in the Big 10 because they won't. I have made that prediction right here, right now. Las Vegas Raiders hire the NFL's first ever black woman team president. In other sporting news, let's see, the Indians are 4.5 games back in second place, and the Reds are in last place, 18 games behind. Okay, on this day, July 8th, right? It is the 8th, right? Okay. I did this last night, so I had to think a day ahead. 1776, the Liberty Bell tolls to announce the Declaration of Independence. The 2,000-pound copper and tin bell rang out from the tower of the Pennsylvania State House, now known as Independence Hall, summoning the citizens to a public reading of the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence. So I thought I'd share a little bit of that with you. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted amongst men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for the light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while these evils are sufferable than to the right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same objects, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. That's sort of the heart of it, isn't it? Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies. Such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Okay, and then they list several, let's call them grievances, a lot to do with taxes, religious freedoms, and so forth. Okay. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitions for the redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of free people. Nor have we been wanting in our attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of, wow, that's a $5 word, consanguinity. Excuse me, sorry. I should have pre-read this again. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We therefore, representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Yeah, that's very, very cool. Okay. Skip that. Okay, now I'm going to put on my announcer voice. I have a brief, let's call it a public service announcement for you all. Do you have feelings of inadequacy? Do you suffer from shyness? Do you sometimes wish you were more assertive? If you answered yes to these questions, ask your doctor or pharmacist about margaritas. Margaritas are the safe, natural way to feel better and more confident about yourself and your actions. Margaritas can help ease you out of your shyness and let you tell the world that you're ready and willing to do just about anything. You will notice the benefit of margaritas almost immediately, and with a regimen of regular doses, you can overcome any obstacles that prevent you from living the life you want to live. Stop hiding and start living with margaritas. Now, margaritas may not be right for everyone. Women who are pregnant or nursing should not use margaritas. However, women who wouldn't mind nursing or becoming pregnant are encouraged to try it. Side effects may include dizziness, nausea, vomiting, incarceration, erotic lustfulness, loss of motor control, loss of clothing, loss of money, loss of virginity, loss of bladder control, attraction to ugly men, table dancing, headache, dehydration, dry mouth, and the desire to sing karaoke. Warning, the consumption of margaritas may think you are whispering when you're not. The consumption of margaritas may cause you to tell your friends over and over again that you love them. Warning, consumption of margaritas may cause you to think you can sing. Warning, the consumption of margaritas may think you can logically converse with members of the opposite sex without spitting. Margaritas are also available in generic form known as tequila, just as effective, only at a fraction of the cost. Okay, we do have some other birthdays, famous birthdays today. 1831, John Pemberton. He's an American pharmacist that invented Coca-Cola. In 1838, Ferdinand von Zeppelin had the Zeppelin Airship Company. In 1839, John D. Rockefeller, founder of Standard Oil. And then, I don't know how this happened, but in 1908, Nelson Rockefeller, who was also a vice president from 74 to 77 and the governor of New York for a long time. 1931, Roone Arledge. He was president of ABC Monday Night Football. That seemed noteworthy to me. 1961, Toby Keith. 1958, Kevin Bacon. 1968, the actor that played DiNozzo in NCIS, Michael Weatherly. And in 1949, Wolfgang Puck, he's a chef, was born on this day. I do have several fines. Let's see, if you have not been out to a restaurant to eat this week, that'll be $1. If you have ever been to Aurora, Colorado, if you've ever purchased ice cream from an ice cream truck, that'll be $1. If you have been to Italy, unless it was in service to your country, so visiting Italy. If you've never been to Cleveland, if you've never been to Las Vegas, I'll get no one with this. If you've never watched Monday Night Football, if you've never seen a Kevin Bacon movie, well, that's not going to be, these are rare finds. Okay, see if I get anybody with this. If you don't like bacon, right? Everybody likes bacon. And if you own any Toby Keith music, that'll be $1. So my goal is to get $1 out of everyone. So if you haven't donated $1, raise your hand for a happy buck.
I think there's a fine if you were in the parade on the 4th of July. I think that's gonna get like half the club. I saw so many of them. That's a $5 fine, because those are all political.
Not all of them.
Okay, let's see where we're at. Happy bucks, I think now. So who wants to start us off? Sir.
Have a happy buck. Yesterday was our 56th anniversary, Gene and I.
Who else? Sir.
Yeah, I've got a happy book. Next Thursday, the wife and I are leaving from San Francisco to visit the grandchildren and their parents. Nice. Wow. I have no reason either.
So we'll see who else. Who else we got? Eric.
On Monday, the whole nation celebrated my wife's and my 28th wedding anniversary with fireworks, and I'm really happy.
It was a big party. I was there. Who else?
I hope I'm gonna be happy tonight. I'm going to see Cheryl Crow and Ken Moe at the Rose, so hopefully the weather cooperates. So.
Alex.
I got 2 happy bucks already put in the can, but last couple of weeks got spent time with my mom and dad, who usually are down in Florida, and this time we're further down. Wow.
I have 2 happy bucks. One is for Alex's mom. If you can stick around, I have so many questions for you. The other one is for Mike Canada. I got you beat. This is my first meeting after being a past president, so I've already beat the record.
Shannon.
Exciting news yesterday. I don't know, many of you might know, my wife works at TCN Behavioral Health over in Fairborn. My daughter decided she was going to do a career path change, and now she works in support staff at TCN as of yesterday. So it's kind of exciting.
Yes. In carpool,
Yeah, right.
especially these days. So, anybody else? Sir, Frank.
I'm throwing in a happy buck. Tomorrow I'm going to be joining my family in celebrating my mother's 80th birthday.
That's great. Okay, take a drawing here. We got number 116782. 116782.
All right. New secretary.
You, remember? Because I asked her, who's.
I don't trust that situation at all.
Hey,
Ryan, give the Joker.
What are we looking for?
The Joker.
That's not it.
Pop Rose, thank you all for supporting our Christmas basket projects. Announcements, we'll start off, I know Mick.
So the golf outing is a week from today. If anybody wants to help, what I've done is if somebody gives a gift certificate, I'll take my camera, have them stand by their sign, get a picture of them, and then between Mike and I and Jim, we post it onto the Rotary Facebook site. So these are 2 extra signs. If anybody's going to be out this weekend, think they might be able to use it. Thank you in advance. These restaurants or car washes or anybody that does business here in Beavercreek are willing to give. You just have to ask. And if you don't want to ask, just maybe buy a $25 gift certificate and donate it to the club, and we'll give it out as a prize next week. But the prizes, we're to that stage of the golf outing prep. We try to do the last 2 weeks. We're done with, we'll take more sponsors, believe me, and we have a lot of sponsors, and we'll show all of them next week. We have still 20 teams, which we feel good about. We may get another team or 2, but we feel good about where we are with sponsorships and teams. Now it's just prizes, because it's always fun to be able to give a door prize. Plus the club wins or makes money on this endeavor, because we have them buy tickets as we do here for the drawing. And then at the end of the golf outing, we draw names and they win some sort of prize. I just, on the way into Rotary today, stopped at Giordano's, the pizza place around the corner. She gave me a $50 gift certificate to be used. At the Pampered Nail and Spa, they gave us a manicure and pedicure to be used. And that was just this morning. And then yesterday I went over by the mall and had 4 of the 6 restaurants there give me a gift certificate. So they're willing and able. I just say, hey, we're local. It's a service organization. We are going to promote you also. We'll have somebody come in. If you give us a $25 gift certificate, hopefully somebody will come in and spend $100 or $200. So you win, we win, everybody wins. And that's kind of the sales pitch that I would use. So if anybody would like to borrow one of our signs or have some of the flyers, I'm happy to give that. But we're on track to have another successful 40th golf outing next week. So if you still want to get involved, or still want to play, or still want to be a sponsor, or still want to get a gift certificate, let me know. Thanks.
Awesome, thanks so much, Mick. No pressure, someone remind me, we have a meeting simultaneously. That's the golf outing. Okay, so you.
It is the meeting.
Okay, wait, the golf outing is the meeting? Yeah. Okay, so there's no meeting in here.
Correct.
Okay.
So what we'll do is.
You're spared either way, you don't have to deal with me.
I'm just meeting beforehand. What we do is, if you're not familiar, if weather permitting, we'll be on the patio. And we have lunch, but it's an opportunity for us to show off the club. So you'll give a couple words of wisdom to all of our guests that will be there. I can say a
32 years of
couple,
wisdom.
I can say a couple words myself. They'll have our 4-way test and our Rotary, so we can show off a little bit about the club. But it's probably one of our biggest guest attended days of the year because of everybody that's going to be playing golf. So hopefully we'll be outside on the patio. If not, they'll set us up in here and we'll play. We've had years where we've only been able to play like 4 or 5 holes due to rain, and then we've had other years it's been beautiful. So let's hope this is the rain for this week, and next week we get back to all with the sunshine. So thanks again.
What's for lunch?
You tell me.
City barbecue.
City barbecue. So city barbecue will be for lunch. That's a setup.
That's fine.
So we're looking forward to it next week. Thank you.
Yeah.
If anyone has any advice and wisdom for me to give to people outside of hitting the ball towards the hole, please let me know before the meeting begins. Any other announcements? I do want to thank everybody who supported the Flags for Heroes, who came out for the ceremony we did, Denny for the invocation, Rick Morales, who came in from DC, and then spoke. So thank you all to those folks and those who attended. And then I do apologize. Stephen was kind enough to send out a reminder email for a pickup. But then because the weather was not looking good that morning, Bob, Jim, and I got out there early and collected all the flags before the rain came down because we didn't want to roll them all up while they were wet and then have to go unroll them to let them dry and then re-roll them. So we got them put away a little early. So, but thank you to everyone who made this one a success. We'll be doing it again in November back at the Hope Church. So more information around then. So with that, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Pete Bales is not here to do it, so I'm still waiting for him. Today we have Eric Trich from the Digital Academy School in Fairborn. He is a graduate of Miami University and Antioch University, and he is a Fairborn Rotarian. And he's been in our community for a very long time, and I do believe this is his first time attending Beavercreek Rotary. So.
Everyone. As we said, I am Eric Trich. I am the Executive Director at Fairborn Digital Academy. And one of the things that you all may be asking yourselves is, why is this Fairborn guy at our Beavercreek meeting? And, you know, good question. But let me tell you, the reason that I am here is that Fairborn Digital Academy does not just serve Fairborn. Fairborn Digital Academy actually serves Fairborn and all of these surrounding communities. So that includes Beavercreek. It also includes Xenia, Yellow Springs, Huber Heights, Mad River, New Carlisle, and something else that I'm forgetting at the moment. So I do have a connection to Beavercreek in that sense with the Digital Academy. I also have a connection to Beavercreek in that my wife is a teacher at Beavercreek. She teaches at Trayvine Elementary in Beavercreek. Both of my children attend schools here in Beavercreek as well. So I do have a connection to Beavercreek. I am also a coach for the Greene County Cosmos, which is a mostly Beavercreek organization as well. So, oops, I was going to show that presentation, but no, it probably wouldn't interest you as much unless you want to set up a garden.
We did do that this year.
That is awesome. We do teach gardening at our school. That is something that we are very proud of. So a little bit about Fairborn Digital Academy, what we are. Fairborn Digital Academy is an online high school. We are a dropout prevention and recovery school. We are a community school. We are a public school. So we do all of those things. We serve probably the most needy kids that you're going to find. We have the highest population of parenting students in Greene County. Primarily because you can stay at home with your baby and attend school. We also have a very high LGBTQ plus population because students find that they can come to our school where they're not going to have to worry about how other people are going to perceive them. We have a lot of students who have health issues. We have a lot of students who have been bullied and are not comfortable at their particular school for whatever reason. We have a lot of bullies who are not welcome in their home school for that reason. And we have a lot of other students. Realistically, when people ask me who are our students, I say it's probably the same as what you're going to find at Beavercreek High School, Fairborn High School, Xenia High School. It's the same makeup, but we just kind of work a little bit different. We are very student-centered and personalized with our education. So one of the things that my staff hates when I say is you need to flex to what the student needs. This is not about you. This is not about your classroom and what you dictate is going to happen. This is about this child and what they need. So you need to figure out how you're going to help that student. We are sponsored by St. Aloysius Orphanage out of Cincinnati. Every community school has to have a sponsor. So St. Aloysius is our sponsor. We opened our doors November 14th, 2002. So if you do some quick math, 20 years this November, Brian, I'm looking to you for something. And we have had the privilege of helping lots of students succeed. We have small class sizes, and I'll talk to you a little bit about our classes. When I say class size, we don't have a traditional style classroom necessarily with Fairborn Digital Academy. What we do is we have what we call accountability coaches. Most of them, well, actually all of our accountability coaches are fully licensed teachers. But I don't like to just call them teachers because they do so much more than teachers do. They serve the whole student. And they're going to do everything that you think of when you think of the word coach. They're going to motivate them. They're going to teach them. They're probably going to yell at them a little bit. They're going to hug them. They're going to support them. The whole student to figure it out. Our seal is not on here, and it should be. One of the things whenever I was making up the seal of the Digital Academy, I put on there the koi fish. Does anyone know what this koi fish symbolizes? Symbolizes overcoming obstacles. That's what we help our students do. They have had an obstacle. Something got in the way of their success at a traditional school, whatever that is. They came to us. We are going to help them overcome that obstacle and get to success. So our coaches serve somewhere around 25 or less students. It's a very elementary style approach because they're going to get to know the kid, they're going to get to know the kid's family, they're going to get to know all the background so that we can help them. Because oftentimes it's not academic that is the issue. If you're hungry and you haven't had any food today, do you care what 2 + 2 equals? No. So we work with the local food fish pantry. We get food out to kids. We do all of those supports. So here are all the schools that we do support: Fairborn, Beavercreek, Xenia, Dayton, Yellow Springs, Huber Heights, Green, and Tecumseh, Mad River. Maybe I did get them all the first time. Good job. This is a representation of our new building. So we moved into the Park Hills Plaza Shopping Center in Fairborn. If you're familiar, it's across the street from where the new Dairy Queen is going to be in Fairborn. We were at an old elementary school, the Black Lane Elementary School, if you're familiar, for the first, well, for several of the years. We weren't there the whole 18 years. But we were told that they were demolishing that building, so we had to find a new place. This was the general layout of, or this is going to be the general layout of our new building once we finish construction. This is really important because this is the heart of where a lot of things happen. Are we an online school? Yes. We can do school via Zoom, just like you all are having this meeting via Zoom. But what we also do is we have this tutoring facility where students can come in and they can get small group or one-on-one instruction with their accountability coach. So each of these rooms over here are going to be classrooms where they can come in, meet with their coach, get assistance, do some other things. This right here is our front door. Coming in, our principal's office. My dream is that someday this will be my office, but right now it's a classroom. Some more offices. This is my office right now. Boardroom, other things. And actually back here, this is our garden. So we do teach students how to grow their own food and how to cook the food that they grow, because we feel that that's a really important life skill, especially when you're talking about students in poverty. If you can grow your own food, how much does that save on your grocery bill every week? So how to do that. And then a lot of kids, I don't know if you've noticed it, but my kids hate to eat their vegetables. They don't like it. They're gonna say, oh, I don't, it's green. So we teach them how to eat the green stuff by cooking in various different ways. Sometimes it's just how do you hide things into a chili? I mean, you can throw all kinds of stuff into chili and then they'll never know. So sometimes it's that way. Sometimes it is very vegetable forward. But we do all kinds of crazy things. They've cooked dandelions the last couple of years. I mean, those are edible. For those people who have never had that experience, it's really great. So we try and get them to think about and broaden those horizons as well. So this is the old look of the building and our new look. Again, some old look and new look. And a lot of what we are doing, a lot of what we are trying for here is to raise some money so that we can finish building out our facility. Right now, we have a lot of walls with no doors. We have a lot of space with no walls and doors. So we are in the process of looking to get money so that we can do that. Here are what our classrooms look like today. I call it the farm because it used to be a cubicle farm. The old Teleperformance, if you're not familiar with Teleperformance, they were a call center. If you were calling AT&T, you were probably talking to someone there at Teleperformance. So it was a cubicle farm. We took out all the cubicles. This is what that space looks like right now. We are looking at developing this into multiple classrooms. This here is our future home of our school pride officer. And she is an amazing person. What we did is at the old place, we had a place, we had a store, what we called, ended up being called Kitty Kingdom, where our parenting students could go in and they could find clothing for their child and toys. For all of us who have had children, you know, you accumulate a great amount of clothes, and then what are you going to do with it? So we put it into our store so that students could earn the ability to go shopping when they completed their schoolwork. And then they could get stuff for their kids and upcycle as they went through. So we worked together with Fairborn High School and the Greene County Career Center to create a marketing plan. They named that store Kitty Kingdom. And in Kitty Kingdom, I was like, you know, it'd be really cool if we had like castle walls, you know, I mean, you think of kingdom, you think of castles, you think of walls. So I was like, I need a muralist. I asked around, I found this muralist and I said, hey, if you want to come out and paint this mural for us, we really appreciate it. And if kids come up to you and talk to you, just be like, oh yeah, sure, this is what I'm doing. And the next thing I know, I'm walking down the hallway and she's got like 30 kids surrounding her. And she's handing out paintbrushes and saying, here's how you do this. Here's how you make a brick. Here's how you make a bush. And it was really, really popular. And so I said, well, here's what we're going to do. If you want to go and hang out and paint the mural, you've got to get your schoolwork done. Everyone always said, you cannot make art into an incentive program. Kids don't go for it. You want to bet? Kids loved it. So if you don't get all of your schoolwork done, if you're not getting in all of your hours that you're supposed to, if you're not making all the progress in your classes, you don't get to go and hang with Miss Sherry. you don't get to do that. So that is one of the biggest incentive programs we have, one of the most successful programs we have. She is also, Sherry and myself are master gardeners. We work together with the Greene County Master Gardeners, OSU Extension and Xenia, to teach them how to do their gardening. They've helped us create the class for that. It's been a really successful partnership. They also come in and teach us about food and nutrition as well. It's a wonderful program. So this is the future home. So she is making this mural, and I'm not sure exactly if I'm supposed to be this troll or not, but it is there. So yeah, there's a closer view of it. She's kind of named a couple of the frogs after some of the coaches. So I have a feeling that I'm supposed to be there. So Fairborn Digital Academy does need your support. I've left some information on your tables. We only receive $25 per student for facilities. Because we are an e-school, they say you don't need a building. Well, we do. We're not allowed to put bonds or levies on the ballot. We can't raise money any other way than for me to go around and beg. So I beg. You can see Julie here. She's one of our successful students. She graduated earlier this year, and that's her little daughter there hanging on to her leg. So we have lots of stories similar to this. I wouldn't have graduated if it wasn't for FDA. And that's not saying that the traditional schools don't do their jobs. Okay, I'm a full supporter of traditional education. It's great. I could not have succeeded at Fairborn Digital Academy. I did not have the discipline. I did not have the willpower. I needed to be at a traditional brick and mortar school because I needed to be able to hang out with all my friends and find girlfriends. That's what school is about. It's funny how life twists us a little bit later, and I'm now in charge of people. But there are those people who don't like that part of school. There are people who don't want that kind of schedule. So that's what we offer. We offer the ability for students to do their schoolwork at home. If they need extra assistance, we need them to be able to come into our tutoring facility so that we can give them extra assistance. We are mandated by the state to give all of the mandatory tests. In order to graduate, you need to pass so many tests. You need to do so many hoops that you have to jump through. So we follow the same mandate that the traditional schools do for graduation requirements. In fact, we have extra testing mandates that we have to do because we are a dropout prevention and recovery school. So that's why we're looking for more support to make these buildings happen. You can visit us on our website, fairborndigital.us. You can find out lots more information about who we are and what we do. There is a donate site there. You can come visit us if you'd ever want to. Please don't hesitate. Give me a call, 879-0511. Say, hey, Eric, I'd like to take a tour. I'd like to hear more about your school. I'd love to show you. I can talk for days about my school. They always say that when you find your passion, you know it because you can't shut up about it. That's me. So if you want to come out, let me know. I'd love to have you. I'd love to show you what we do, how we support Beavercreek in the education process. We don't currently have that many Beavercreek students enrolled. We have about 10. Okay, the main majority of our 220 students are from Fairborn. That makes sense. We're Fairborn Digital. But we do have about 10 from Beavercreek. Beavercreek is about our 4th largest district aside from Fairborn. that we support. So there's not a lot of Beavercreek students, not to say that we wouldn't be happy to support more, but I think that that is a testament to the local schools. Beavercreek Local School District is a great district. But there are times when students need something different. That's what we're here for. So that's the majority of my presentation, unless people have questions. Yes, sir.
I don't know if I missed it. So how does it work? So does the schools reach out to you if someone drops out, or is it specifically?
It can be done either way. So anytime that a student isn't feeling that they are being successful, a student and the parent can come and say, hey, you know, you're a school of choice. We are a school of choice, which means that people can choose to come to us. They then make an appointment to come in. We meet with them. We talk to them about who we are, what we do, make sure that they are serious about it, because it is a serious commitment. Anytime you change schools, you're changing curriculum, you're changing all kinds of different things. There's a lot of places where you have to start over. It's not something to take lightly. So we try and tell them, you know, be serious, make sure you know what you're doing. But there are times when districts will reach out to us and say, hey, we have this student, they're not being successful with us. They have these needs. We think that they would be good for you. So it can happen from the school, but oftentimes it is a parent or a student who just says, you know, hey, I'm not going back to that school, no matter what you say. So then they say, well, you're, you know, under 18, you've got to go to school somewhere. Try Fairborn Digital Academy. Yes, ma'am.
My husband and I always think that every senior should have to do a life skills class to some extent, where they have to learn, you know, how to file an easy tax return, how to budget, how to cook and things. You seem to be more attuned to that, if you will, than that. Is that something you've ever thought about? Because you can even do it for visually, you know, videos that are available if it's online or something.
So actually, just this last year, I believe, there was a mandate put in place for schools to work on personal finance. And there was one previously, but it was pretty weak. Just said you had to have some exposure to personal finance at some time during high school, whatever that means. But they have upped that. And so there is a lot more of that check balancing. I don't know if tax filing is necessarily a part of it. Some of that gets into some tricky areas, because once you start telling people this is how you do a tax form, are you liable for any mistakes that they might make? But in general, yes, you can say, here's how you do some of these things. So we're trying to look for and hear from people, what should we be teaching? Because you're right, there are some life skills, there are some other things that should be taught that we need to figure out. Another class that we have is a marketing class, where we teach them how to develop their own brand and how to sell product. We have a sublimation machine, and we can have them make their own swag that they could then market and sell. We're still working on getting that off the ground. It's been a struggle, but once we get it going, the next step is to create a web page, teach them how to create a web page, teach them how to sell online, do those kind of things. Because that micro economy job thing is big. A lot of people have a Cricut machine or a sublimation machine or do whatever. So wouldn't that be a great thing? They graduate from high school knowing how to make some money. So yeah, we're always looking for those kind of classes. What do we need to know to be successful citizens? Because that's important.
You ever have any students then go on to like a junior college or even a regular college?
Oh yeah, we have students who go on to go to college, either junior or full university. We have some that have master's degrees, a couple that are working on doctorates. We have had people join, I think all 6 branches of the military at this point, with the Coast Guard and the Space Force. So we do have them represented across all of the different lifestyles. A lot of them do just go directly into the workforce, the majority of them do. But one of the things that makes some students unsuccessful in a traditional school is that they are accelerated. And if you've ever talked to a kid who is accelerated, they are bored out of their minds going through a basic math course. So we had a parent who had their kids come in. They went through all of our curriculum, graduated as juniors in college, completed their college, went on to get a master's degree, and I think a couple of them are working for their doctorate. So they're not just those low performing kids. We also have those really high performing kids as well. Yes, sir.
Do all your students have the technology necessary to do online learning?
So we provide for every student, we're mandated to provide a computer and internet access for every student. So they each get a Chromebook and a Verizon wireless connection so that they can do their schoolwork from wherever they are. That's a big factor. We haven't had one recently, but at one time we had one kid who was on the professional or semi-pro tennis tour. We had another kid whose band was touring around the country. And so they would do their stuff while on tour. I had one kid, smart aleck. He was our valedictorian, 15-year-old valedictorian graduate, called me and said, "Hey, Eric, do you know where I am today?" And I was like, "No, where are you?" He said, "Oh, I'm sitting here with my foot in the ocean, doing some math." Yeah. Go away, kid. So we say, you can do your schoolwork anywhere. If you're on vacation, you're visiting Disney, hang out with Mickey all day long, go back to the hotel, do some schoolwork, and that's cool. So, again, what are those obstacles? Sometimes it's, I want to do other things. So we're going to let you do it wherever you are. Yes, sir.
Your operating revenue, where's it come from?
We are funded through state and federal funds. So as a public school, luckily, the legislature recently, thank you again, Brian, recently changed the way that the funding model worked. It used to be that the money would go from the state to the local district, and then the local district would have to write this big, huge check back to the state every year. That made them really grumpy, and legitimately so. I mean, if I wrote $1 million, $8 million, $10 million check back to the state every year, I'd be grumpy too. And then they would fund us. Now it's just directly to us. So the state funds us directly through the model in the same way that traditional schools are funded. The biggest difference, though, is that the state says, here's how much money is necessary to educate a child. And that dollar amount changes on a regular basis. For a traditional district, the traditional district just receives a portion of that. And then they are expected to pass levies to make up that difference. Or go above. Some districts go above. And so we get that full amount, but that's all we get. Except, here's the thing. As an online school, we only get funded for the time that we can prove a student is online doing schoolwork. So if you were to enroll in my school, but you only do half of the time that you're supposed to, we have a 5-hour day. So you only log in for 2.5 hours a day. I only receive half of the funding that I would get to educate you. So every year I lose about 30% of my funding because we're dealing with dropout prevention and recovery kids. They're not going to log in every day. They're not, that's just not going to happen. We have one of the highest rates of attendance amongst dropout prevention and recovery schools. But again, I'm giving back this year 27%. So we are directly state and federal funded. Yes, sir.
You mentioned a sponsorship from someplace in Cincinnati. How does that come into play, or why does that have to come into play for your effective organization?
So when they decided that they were going to start allowing community schools back in 2002, the Ohio Department of Education said, in order for that to happen, you have to have a sponsor. And that sponsor is the organization that makes sure that you're doing all the things that you're supposed to do and cover all the things that you're supposed to cover. It's an oversight kind of organization. For the first 19 years of our existence, we were sponsored by, or first 18 years of our existence, we were sponsored by Fairborn City Schools as our sponsor. But there was some legislation that was passed before Brian, so I won't blame him, that made that extremely arduous. And so Fairborn City Schools says, we just can't do this anymore. We've got other things we need to concentrate on our own students. So we then made the move to St. Aloysius, who is sponsors about 80 other schools around the state. They do a great job of making sure that we are meeting all the mandates that we're supposed to be in order to be successful. So when we looked for our new sponsor, we found what I believe is the most successful sponsor in the state. Any other questions?
We always do a book dedication. He's already signed it. Thank you, Beth, for making that happen. We'll put this book in the library. What do we got? We have Pacey Packer and the Unicorn Tracker. I read the back. I was curious what it was about. Can they work together to escape Unicorn Land? Someone please read and let us know. Okay. Next week's program, we have Beavercreek Golf Outing. So please come, please sponsor, please play, or else it will haunt your dreams. So that said, anything else for the good of the club? Okay, we'll do the pledge of allegiance. You know my allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation